I tell you what, let's start with the Kangaroos, but from the angle of players that can say they played at their best in the series. Am I being too hard to say no one played at their best? Would I be going too far? And I know we got a hail. Congratulations, we should say first. Let's not be negative all the way.
Yeah.
They won the series 3-0.
Yep.
Kevin Walters' first time as coach.
Yes, they did what was required without being. Look, game 2 was a bludger. Neither side played well.
Yeah.
You know, and game 1 was highlighted by the second half of Reece Walsh.
Yep.
Who was fantastic. Well, he was the standout player in that game. I think Cameron Munster went close to playing as good as he's played for Melbourne towards the back end of the season. I think he deserved to be the player of the series, but
I've seen him play better.
I'd still give him a 7 out of a 10.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Like a 7 out of a 10.
Yeah.
7 out of 10. Harry Grant was very good. Angus Crichton was consistently good.
Yes.
Harry Grant was great yesterday, but on Saturday morning, but not great last week. Last week he was 5 out of 10.
4 or 5.
There we go. Yeah. So across the 3 games, there wasn't many players that stood out in all 3.
Now, if you didn't get up to watch, with 18 to go, it is 4 the difference.
Yeah.
It is 12-8. Australia did lead 12-0 early. England fought it back to get it to 12-8 at half-time, and so it remained for a good portion of the second half, and then Australia scored.
Till the 61st minute when, who was it that scored for the Aussies? It was Harry Grant, scored from dummy half. That was 61st minute. So, and before that, they had 15 minutes of ball on Australia's line, England, and just couldn't crack.
Yep.
Couldn't crack the code.
And then Reece Walsh gets a double, one of them a little fortuitous, and then off a scrum, the last play almost of the game. Let's hear from some of the stars. First of all, from the captain, Azayo, returning. He was very good in the third test. It's hard to assess Azayo because he only got 9 minutes of the first test, sat out the second, and then played very good the third. But this was the captain of Australia after the 3-0 win.
Start of the series, obviously not how I planned it on going, but I'm just really proud of how the group handled it. It wasn't all perfect. All 3 games, there was little periods there that weren't great. So the way we sort of more so defend our try line for periods there, was just really proud throughout the whole series. And then, to score some classy tries out the end. We just got a bit of that X factor, a bit of that brilliance there that can break a game open, and they probably did that in the second half. So, just really proud. It's been 20 odd years. It's way too long to have. It's way too long to not have the Ashes. So to be able to get over here and have an opportunity against the English side, it's something we definitely didn't take it for granted. Over the moon.
Very well spoken. When he says we defended our own line, England had over 40 tackles inside the Australian 20 for 0 return.
Yeah.
But 1 try they scored long range.
Well, it was the long range try. Yeah. Yep.
Australia, 16 errors. When he talks about Australia, little period, 16 errors in the third test. In the completion rate under 70%.
Well, that's been the story. That's a big reason why. Why were there so many errors? Well, hang on. Speaking of errors, Mark Nawanganitawase.
Oh, wow.
Can he come up with an error?
Yeah.
He's just... Does he know when to pull it back and when not to?
He had 4 of the first 6. Was no one going to do us? You thought, and yet he had 2 really great catches, two spectacular moments.
Yes,
but
defending
loose as a
in
goose.
defence.
Loose as a goose. Loses a wizard sleeve, really. Isn't he? Loose as a wizard sleeve. Mark Nawanganitawase. I said in commentary, and I mean this, and I don't mean it any sort of, not having a crack, but it's his last test I'll ever call him playing for Australia.
Well,
he goes back to rugby. He gets returned to sender now. Yeah. In terms of international football, he does.
Mm-hmm. He had a great year for the Roosters.
No, amazing.
And you couldn't say no. Don't pick him for Australia.
But come Origin next year, I don't know that Nawanganitawase will go back to square one. And who would? Are you a Karaz man? I'm thinking Karaz, New South Wales.
Well, see, I said Karaz. Now through the year, I said, who would we take away? And I said Jacob Karaz and got smashed by everyone. Everyone's going, please. That's you just bias against rugby, which wasn't. No. Mate, give me Jacob Karaz any day.
Yeah.
Jacob Karaz coming out of his own end. Now, this is something that Mark Nawanga doesn't do well. He doesn't come out of his own end. He's a big body.
Yeah,
but he's not a great runner of the footy.
No,
he's very classy. He's
skillful,
great in the air,
skill set, as good as
passing, flicking, like that. That's great.
Yeah,
but I'm taking Jacob Karaz.
There we go.
But he's behind Xavier Coates, Brian To'o. He's behind those players. Zach Lomax. Yeah. Anyway,
England got introduced to Reece Walsh. Watching him up close and personal. Great first test, amazing performance at Wembley. Second test, like the rest of the Australian side, was off the pace was very good again. You wouldn't say great, though, third test, but had, again, very good moments. This was Reece Walsh after the third test.
It was a tough one, mate. We knew that they were going to come out, firing. It wasn't our best footy, but we got the job done in the end. I think it's something that we should be proud of and, really build on, what we want to go through for the future. Mate, I wouldn't say that's the best we could play for sure. Bit scrappy, but, just proud of our defence, the way we worked hard and, we're just really hungry to get better as a group and I think that's something that we can take, pride in.
Again, this is straight after the game. It's very honest appraisal. Like they realised themselves the way they played.
Yeah.
To hear Yo and Walsh,
perfect.
that's within 10 minutes of full time. It's perfect post-mortem of the game.
Well, Andrew, if your completion rate is less than 70% for 3 straight games, it sits with you. It's pretty easy to go, we weren't at our best.
You're a rugby league fan. You're a former attacking genius, Brandy, if I may say so, blow smoke up your chaminda, using rhyming slang. But what you've seen of Walsh this year, does he do this for another 5-10 years?
I hope so.
Well, great answer.
Yeah, I hope so.
But what you saw, the development, the rise of this player,
Yep.
does he excite you as much as any player you've ever seen?
I guess he does, Andrew. It's hard, and I had Kalen Ponga in front of Reece Walsh right up until this year, right up until the final series. But what Walsh did through the final series was incredible. It won Brisbane the comp.
Yeah,
like they were looking for someone to. It won them the comp, and it nearly won them the comp in 23.
Yeah.
Like him and Ezra Mam almost got Brisbane a premiership in 2023. But I hope we see all of it from Reece Walsh.
And at the other end of their career, wrapping up yesterday, Gillaroos' big win over New Zealand, but Kieran Foran, U-Star, 34th test, 318 NRL games, last day of rugby league. He leaves, and his crying in the anthem is one of, how do you call it, the best images? One of the most memorable images of the year. Seeing this man, this experienced warrior, and that's what he is. Mm-hmm. He's trembling and crying during the national anthem. I've got the hairs on the back of my neck standing up now thinking about it.
Yep.
It was an amazing moment. He goes out a winner, Kieran Foran. This is Kieran on the New Zealand win.
I was as nervous as heck, Coops, to be honest with you today. I so badly wanted this. It's been a pretty difficult, year for myself up north, and I got, asked to come in here, given Jerome Hughes' injury by Stacey, and I just felt it would be the icing on top if we could win this championship, and I wanted it so badly for New Zealand as well. It's meant so much to me playing for my country, mate. It's the reason I fell in love with the game. I idolised, these Kiwi legends before me, and I just wanted to finish with a win with the guys here today, and just incredibly grateful that we were able to do so.
When hearing his announcement about him retiring, I sent Kieran a message and I said, just heard it on radio, mate, great career. Have loved watching you play through it all. The days at Manly, both stints were amazing. Your drive to keep it going when the body might have been saying otherwise has been inspiring. The original half that took it deep and direct into the defensive line, a forerunner of what was to follow, a career you can be extremely proud of.
Great message. Great message. Kieran Foran, we salute you today. Adam Collins in just a moment from the SEN cricket team. He's in London. He's on his way out to Australia shortly. Plenty to chat about there.